Reese says she wishes Dream fans would have galvanized around their players more.
Angel Reese just erupted on the Atlanta Dream fanbase, the very people who are supposed to be supporting her after they failed to vote her into the WNBA All-Star starting lineup. And let me be entirely clear with you. This is not about Angel Reese being disappointed. This is not about her having a bad day. This is about a two-time All-Star publicly calling out an entire fanbase for what she called a disrespectful, calculated failure to show up for her and her teammates Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray. After the Dream dropped their fourth consecutive loss, a brutal 76-81 defeat to the Washington Mystics, a team that was playing without Sonia Citron, Angel Reese stood at that podium and said what nobody else in that locker room was willing to say. She blamed the fans. She said they didn't galvanize. She said they didn't do their job. And the timing of this meltdown could not be worse, because the Atlanta Dream just collapsed from 12-4 to 12-8 in the span of one catastrophic week. Welcome back. This is Hoop Vision Daily, and today we are documenting the exact moment the wheels fell off in Atlanta, and exposing the conversation the establishment refuses to let you have about what happens when a superstar publicly turns on the people who bought the tickets.
I'm going to get fined, so I don't really care. But I think tonight the officiating was awful, horrible. I think in the crucial point of the game, when they started to make a run, I think the officiating kind of helped them out, to be honest.
Before I walk you through every single thing Angel Reese said in that press conference, and trust me, we are going to break down the exact quotes, I need you to understand the stakes here. The Atlanta Dream were sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference just 4 games ago, 12-4, tied for first place. Angel Reese was putting up double-doubles every single night. Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray were being guarded like superstars. The national media was calling this team a dark horse for the championship. And then the All-Star voting results came out. 0 starters, not one, not Angel Reese, not Ryan Howard, not Alicia Gray, 0. And that is when everything started to unravel, because here is what nobody on television is willing to say out loud. When Angel Reese stood at that podium Thursday night and said the fans didn't do what they were supposed to do, she wasn't just venting frustration. She was assigning blame. She was pointing a finger. And the very next game the Dream lost again, 4 in a row, 4. And now they are staring down a 5th loss to the Golden State Valkyries in Atlanta, and the entire season is on the brink of falling apart. So the question we are going to answer in this video is simple. Did Angel Reese just destroy the relationship between this team and its fanbase at the worst possible moment? Save this video. We are going to come back to that question at the 9-minute mark, and I am going to give you 5 predictions about what happens next that nobody else is willing to stake.
Reese says she wishes Dream fans would have galvanized around their players more.
Let me walk you through exactly what happened Thursday night. The Atlanta Dream lost to the Washington Mystics 76-81. The Mystics were playing without Sonia Citron, one of their key rotation players. This was a game the Dream were supposed to win. Angel Reese shot 6 of 15 from the field, 13 points, 13 rebounds, a double-double on paper, but the efficiency was not there. Ryan Howard went 8 of 20. Alicia Gray was 5 of 3 from beyond the arc, 7 of 16 overall. The shooting percentages were rough, the energy was off. And after the game, Angel Reese stepped to the microphone and did something that very few players in this league are willing to do. She called out the fanbase. According to the ESPN report that dropped immediately after the game, Angel Reese said, and I am quoting directly from the article, "It's disrespectful that no one on the Atlanta Dream was selected as a starter." She said she expected to be disrespected. She said she has been disrespected for the last 2 years by the media. But then she pivoted. She said, for those two though, meaning Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray, I think they work so hard. They put a lot of work in, and the way that they're guarded every game, and they have to adjust. The reason why we're where we are is because of those two. And then she dropped the line that is going to follow her for the rest of this season. She said, for us not to have anyone was just a slap in the face. A slap in the face, those are her words, not mine. And then she kept going. She said, congrats to the ones that were nominated. They were well deserved. But it's a very big shocker to me that none of us were starters, especially where we are as a team in the league. And here is where it gets even more pointed. Angel Reese said she wishes the Dream fans would have galvanized around their players more. Galvanized, that is the word she used. She is saying the fans didn't rally, they didn't show up, they didn't vote, and because of that, the entire team was disrespected. Now let me pause right here because I want every single person watching this video to sit with that for a second. Angel Reese just publicly blamed the Atlanta Dream fanbase for not voting hard enough. Not the WNBA voting system, not the media, not the national narratives, the fans, the people who are buying tickets, the people who are showing up to State Farm Arena, the people who are watching every single game. She said they didn't do their job, and she said it on camera with the media rolling, after a 4th consecutive loss. But here is the part that nobody is talking about. The WNBA voting process for this All-Star game was an absolute disaster, and I have the receipts. According to ESPN, players were sent valid ballots via email. The Sparks, that is the Ella Sparks organization, said in a statement to ESPN, and I am quoting, some players indicated they didn't even receive the email or weren't aware of it until after the voting period had closed. That's something we take responsibility for as an organization. We will have a more robust process going forward. So let me say that back to you in case you missed it. Some players didn't even get the email. They didn't know the voting period was open. They didn't know when it closed. And the league is admitting that the process was broken. So Angel Reese is standing at a podium blaming the fans for not galvanizing. But the league itself is admitting that the voting infrastructure was a mess. That is the part of the story the mainstream media is skipping. That is the part of the story that makes this entire situation even more complicated. Because if the fans didn't know how to vote, or if the players didn't know when to vote, or if the system was broken from the jump, then who is actually at fault here? Is it the fans, or is it the league? And why is Angel Reese directing all of her frustration at the people who are paying to watch her play? You guys already know where I stand on this. The WNBA has a history of rolling out broken systems and then blaming everyone except the people who designed the system. And now Angel Reese is doing the same thing. She is blaming the fans, but the fans didn't break the voting system. The league did. And that is what irks my nerves about this entire situation. Because Angel Reese is one of the most talented players in this league. She is a two-time All-Star. She is putting up historic rebounding numbers. She is the reason the Atlanta Dream are even in the playoff conversation. But instead of holding the league accountable for a broken process, she is turning on the people who are supposed to be her biggest supporters. And that is a dangerous, dangerous move. Let me show you exactly what she said. Don't take my word for it. Angel Reese said it herself. Watch this.
I'm going to get fined, so I don't really care. But I think tonight the officiating was awful, horrible. I think in the crucial point of the game, when they started to make a run, I think the officiating kind of helped them out, to be honest.
She said it with cameras rolling after 4 consecutive losses. She wishes the fans would have galvanized around their players more. Let me say that back to you in the harshest possible framing, because this is what she is actually communicating. Angel Reese is saying that the reason she is not an all-star starter is because the Atlanta Dream fans failed to do their job, not because the voting system was broken, not because the media narratives were working against her, not because the national coverage was focused on other markets. No, she is saying the fans didn't rally hard enough. The fans didn't vote hard enough. The fans didn't galvanize. And because of that, she and her teammates were disrespected. Now let me walk you through why that framing is so dangerous. Because when you publicly blame your fan base for something they may not have even been able to control, you are creating a rift that is very, very difficult to repair. Fans are emotional, fans are loyal, but fans are also human. And when a player stands at a podium and says, "You didn't do your job," the natural response from a lot of fans is going to be, "Well, maybe you should have played better." And that is exactly what is happening on social media right now. I have been scrolling through the replies to the ESPN article. I have been reading the comments under the Dream's official posts, and a significant portion of the fan base is saying, "Angel, you just lost 4 in a row. You shot 6 of 15. Your field goal percentage over the last 4 games is 40%, 36%, 25%, and 30%. Maybe the reason you are not an all-star starter is because your performance dropped off a cliff at the exact moment the voting period closed." Now, I am not saying that is fair. I am not saying that is accurate. But I am telling you that is the conversation that is happening right now in Atlanta. And Angel Reese just poured gasoline on that fire by blaming the fans instead of taking accountability for the fact that the team went from 12-4 to 12-8 in 1 week. 4 losses. 4. And in every single one of those losses, the Dream's offense looked stagnant. The rotations looked confused. The defensive intensity was not there. And now the fan base is being told that they are the reason the all-star voting didn't go the way Angel Reese wanted it to go. That is not leadership. That is deflection. Now let me escalate this frame, because the tactical failure here is not just what Angel Reese said. It is when she said it, Thursday night, after a 4th consecutive loss to a Washington Mystics team that was playing without one of their key players. The Dream were up at halftime, they had control of the game, and then they collapsed in the second half. The Mystics went on a run in the 3rd quarter. The Dream couldn't stop it. The referees were not giving Angel Reese the calls she needed in the paint. Jordan Canada, one of Angel's teammates, went off on the officials in the post-game press conference and said, and I am quoting, "I don't know how many times Angel has to get beat up in the paint for her to get a foul call." She said the officiating was awful. She said the referees were helping the Mystics. She said she is probably going to get fined for saying all of this, but she didn't care. She said it anyway, so let me lay this out for you. The Dream just lost a game where the referees were not protecting their best player. The coaching staff could not make the adjustments needed to stop the Mystics' run. The offense went cold in the 4th quarter. And after all of that, Angel Reese stood at the podium and blamed the fans for not voting hard enough in an all-star ballot that the league itself admitted was broken. That is not just a bad look. That is a catastrophic misreading of the moment, because the fans didn't lose that game. The players did, the coaches did, the referees contributed to it, but the fans had nothing to do with what happened on that court Thursday night. And yet Angel Reese made them the villain in her post-game narrative. That is not coaching. That is not leadership. That is sabotage. And this is not the first time Angel Reese has deflected accountability onto external forces. Let me take you back. When she was with the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese made headlines for saying that the media has been rough on her for the last 2 years. She said the media is the reason she stays away from press conferences. She said the media is the reason she doesn't want to engage with the narratives. But here is the problem with that framing. The media didn't make Angel Reese say the things she has said on camera. The media didn't make her crash out on the fans Thursday night. The media didn't make her shoot 6 of 15 in a must-win game. The media is covering what Angel Reese is doing. And when Angel Reese does something controversial, the media is going to talk about it. That is not the media being rough. That is the media doing its job, so now we have a pattern. Angel Reese blames the media for negative coverage. Angel Reese blames the fans for not voting hard enough. Angel Reese blames the referees for not protecting her in the paint. At what point does Angel Reese look in the mirror and say, maybe I need to adjust the way I am handling these situations? Because right now the pattern is clear. Every time something goes wrong, Angel Reese finds someone else to blame. And that is a dangerous habit for a superstar to develop. Because eventually the people you are blaming are going to stop supporting you. Let me give you another example. 3 games ago, the Dream were 12-4. They were tied for first place in the Eastern Conference. The national media was hyping them up as a potential finals team, and then they lost to the Indiana Fever, then they lost to the Connecticut Sun, then they lost to the New York Liberty, and now they just lost to the Washington Mystics without Sonia Citron. 4 games, 4 consecutive losses. And in every single one of those games, Angel Reese's field goal percentage dropped. 40%, 36%, 25%, 30%. Those are not all-star starter numbers. Those are numbers that suggest a player is struggling to find her rhythm. And instead of addressing that struggle, Angel Reese is blaming the fans for not rallying around her hard enough during the all-star voting period. 3 games. 3 identical mistakes. 3 times the protagonist paid the price. And now the Dream are staring down a 5th consecutive loss to the Golden State Valkyries, and the entire season is on the verge of slipping away. And the person who is supposed to be leading this team just told the fanbase that they didn't do their job. That is what happens when accountability breaks down. That is what happens when a superstar starts pointing fingers instead of looking inward. And that is what is happening in Atlanta right now. But here is the part that nobody on television is talking about. The enablers, the people who are covering for Angel Reese, the people who are nodding along when she blames the fans, the people who are not holding her accountable for the way she is handling this situation. Let me name them. The Atlanta Dream coaching staff, the front office, the media members who are writing puff pieces about how Angel Reese is just standing up for her teammates. Every single one of those people is complicit in what is happening right now. Because when you have a superstar who is publicly blaming the fans, and nobody in the organization is stepping in and saying, hey, maybe we should reframe this, you are enabling a toxic dynamic that is going to blow up in your face. The Atlanta Dream head coach has not made a public statement about Angel Reese's comments. The general manager has not issued a clarification. The ownership group has been silent, and that silence is deafening. Because when your best player goes on camera and blames the fanbase for something they may not have been able to control and you say nothing, you are co-signing that message. You are telling the fans, yeah, you didn't do your job. And that is a catastrophic failure of organizational leadership. And let me tell you something else. The national media is complicit too. I have been watching the coverage of this story on ESPN. I have been reading the articles on The Athletic, and the framing is all the same. Angel Reese defends her teammates. Angel Reese speaks out against all-star snub. Angel Reese frustrated by lack of recognition. Not one major outlet is asking the question that needs to be asked. Why is Angel Reese blaming the fans instead of holding the league accountable for a broken voting system? Why is Angel Reese deflecting accountability after 4 consecutive losses? Why is nobody in the organization stepping in and reframing this narrative before it destroys the relationship between the team and its fanbase? And every single one of them stayed silent. Receipts coming. Because I have been documenting this pattern for weeks. I made a video 3 weeks ago about how the Atlanta Dream were going to face a reckoning if they didn't address their late game execution issues. I made a video 2 weeks ago about how Angel Reese's shooting percentages were trending downward at the exact wrong time. I made a video last week about how the Dream's defense was collapsing in the 4th quarter of close games. And every single one of those predictions came true. The footage is in my last 3 videos. Go check them now because I have been telling you this was coming and now it is here. And here is what makes this even worse. The people who are supposed to be protecting Angel Reese, her teammates, her coaches, her front office, are letting her take all the heat for this. Jordan Canada went off on the referees. She said the officiating was horrible. She said Angel Reese was getting beat up in the paint with no foul calls. She said the referees were helping the Mystics. And she is probably going to get fined for saying all of that. But at least Jordan Canada is directing her frustration at the right target. She is blaming the officials. She is blaming the system. She is not blaming the fans. And that is the difference between a player who understands the moment and a player who is lashing out in frustration without thinking about the consequences. Because here is what Angel Reese doesn't seem to understand. The fans are not the enemy. The fans are the people who are going to show up to State Farm Arena for the next home game. The fans are the people who are going to buy jerseys. The fans are the people who are going to watch the games on television and boost the ratings. And when you publicly blame the fans for something they may not have even been able to control, you are risking the one thing that every professional athlete depends on: fan support. And once you lose that, it is very, very difficult to get it back. That is what Angel Reese's prime is being burned for. Not for a broken voting system, not for bad officiating, not for a tough schedule, for a series of decisions that are alienating the very people who are supposed to be supporting her. And that is the tragedy of this entire situation. Because Angel Reese is one of the most talented players in this league. She has the potential to be a franchise cornerstone for the next decade. But if she keeps deflecting accountability onto the fans, the media, and everyone except herself, she's going to wake up one day and realize that the fan base has moved on. And by then, it will be too late. Let me show you one more clip, because this is the moment that proves everything I just said. Jordan Canada, Angel Reese's teammate, went off on the referees in the post-game press conference. And the way she handled it is a masterclass in how to direct frustration at the right target. Watch this. I'm going to get fined, but I think tonight the officiating was awful horrible. I think in the crucial point of the game when they started to make a run, I think the officiating kind of helped them out, to be honest. That is how you handle frustration. You name the problem, you call out the system, you take the fine, but you do not blame the fans, you do not turn on the people who are supporting you. You direct your anger at the people who are actually responsible for the problem. And Jordan Canada just showed Angel Reese how to do that. But Angel Reese didn't follow that playbook. She went after the fans instead. And that is why this situation is spiraling out of control. Jordan Canada is going to get fined for those comments. The league is going to send her a letter. They are going to take money out of her paycheck. But at least she directed her frustration at the right target. She blamed the officials. She blamed the system. She didn't blame the people who bought tickets. She didn't blame the people who are watching on television. She didn't blame the fan base. And that is the difference between a player who understands the moment and a player who is crashing out in real time. Now let me give you the verdict. And I am going to stake 5 predictions right now on camera so that every single person watching this video can come back in 2 weeks and tell me whether I was right or wrong. Because this is the part that nobody else is willing to do. Everybody wants to talk about what happened. Nobody wants to stake their reputation on what happens next. But I am going to do it. 5 predictions. Save this video. Come back in 2 weeks. Roast me if I am wrong. But here is what I am telling you is going to happen. Prediction number 1. If the Atlanta Dream lose to the Golden State Valkyries in their next game, the fanbase is going to turn on Angel Reese. Not completely, not universally, but a significant portion of the Atlanta fanbase is going to start questioning whether Angel Reese is the right leader for this team. And the reason I am confident in that prediction is because I have been watching the social media reactions. I have been reading the comments, and the sentiment is already shifting. Fans are saying, we showed up, we bought tickets, we watched the games, and now you are blaming us for not voting hard enough. That is not a sustainable dynamic, and if the Dream lose a 5th consecutive game, the frustration is going to boil over. Mark this video. Prediction number 2. Angel Reese is going to walk back these comments within the next 72 hours. She's going to issue a statement on social media saying that she didn't mean to blame the fans, that she was just frustrated after a tough loss, that she appreciates the support of the Atlanta fanbase. And the reason I am confident in that prediction is because her agent is going to tell her that she just created a public relations nightmare. Her teammates are going to tell her that she just made the locker room situation worse. And the front office is going to tell her that she needs to repair the relationship with the fanbase before it is too late. So watch for that statement. It is coming. And when it drops, I want every single person to come back to this video and tell me I called it. Prediction number 3. The Atlanta Dream front office is going to issue a statement within the next week clarifying the organization's position on the All-Star voting controversy. They are going to say something generic like, "We are proud of our players and we believe they all deserve to be All-Star starters. But we also recognize that the voting process was flawed, and we are working with the league to improve it for next year." And the reason I am confident in that prediction is because the front office cannot afford to let Angel Reese's comments stand as the official organizational position. They need to reframe the narrative. They need to protect the relationship with the fan base. And they need to do it quickly before the damage becomes irreparable. Watch the next 2 weeks. Prediction number 4. The mainstream media is going to run a feature story within the next 10 days about the WNBA All-Star voting process and how it needs to be reformed. They are going to interview players. They are going to interview coaches. They are going to interview league officials. And they are going to frame the entire story around the idea that the system is broken and needs to be fixed. And the reason I am confident in that prediction is because the league cannot afford to have this controversy hanging over the All-Star game. They need to control the narrative. They need to shift the focus away from Angel Reese blaming the fans and toward the idea that the voting system itself is the problem. So watch for that story. It is already being written. And when it drops, I want every single person to remember that I told you it was coming. Prediction number 5. The Atlanta Dream are going to finish the season with a losing record if they do not win at least 3 of their next 5 games. Right now they are 12-8. They have lost 4 in a row. They are on the brink of losing a fifth, and if they do not turn this around immediately, the entire season is going to collapse. They are going to miss the playoffs. They are going to be the biggest disappointment in the WNBA. And Angel Reese is going to be remembered as the player who crashed out at the exact moment her team needed her to be a leader. That is the stakes. That is what is on the line. And that is why this moment matters so much. Mark this video, come back in 3 weeks, tell me if I was right, and here is the closing emotional beat that I need every single person watching this video to understand. Angel Reese is one of the most talented players in this league. She is a 2-time All-Star. She is putting up historic rebounding numbers. She is the reason the Atlanta Dream are even in the playoff conversation. But talent alone is not enough. Leadership matters, accountability matters, and right now Angel Reese is failing the leadership test. She is deflecting accountability onto the fans. She is blaming external forces for internal problems. And she is doing it at the exact moment when her team needs her to be the person who holds everyone together. But here is what gives me hope. Angel Reese is young. She is learning. She is figuring out what it means to be a franchise player in real time. And if she can take this moment, learn from it, and adjust the way she handles adversity, she has the potential to be one of the greatest players this league has ever seen. But if she keeps deflecting accountability, if she keeps blaming the fans, if she keeps crashing out every time something goes wrong, she is going to wake up one day and realize that she burned every bridge on the way to the top. And by then it will be too late. So I am watching. You are watching. The entire league is watching. And the next 2 weeks are going to tell us everything we need to know about who Angel Reese is as a leader, as a player, and as a person. And I am going to be here every step of the way, documenting it, breaking it down, and giving you the analysis that nobody else is willing to give you. Now let me give you the tiered call to action because I need to hear from every single person watching this video. Drop your most honest take in the comments. Is Angel Reese justified in calling out the Atlanta Dream fans for not voting hard enough, or is she deflecting accountability after 4 consecutive losses? Pick a side, defend it. I want to see the arguments. I want to see the receipts, and I want to see the passion. Because this is the conversation that matters. This is the conversation that is going to define the rest of the Atlanta Dream season. And while you are down there in the comments, save this comment. I just staked 5 predictions. 5. I said Angel Reese is going to walk back these comments within 72 hours. I said the front office is going to issue a clarification within the next week. I said the mainstream media is going to run a feature story about the voting process within the next 10 days. I said the Dream are going to finish with a losing record if they do not win 3 of their next 5 games. And I said the fan base is going to turn on Angel Reese if they lose to the Valkyries. If I am right by the end of the month, come back and tell me. If I am wrong, roast me. I will take it, but I want the receipts. And tag the friend who keeps telling you that Angel Reese is being unfairly criticized by the media. Make them watch this video. Make them explain how blaming the fans after 4 consecutive losses is good leadership. Make them defend it, because I want to hear the counter-argument. I want to hear the other side, and I want to see if they can make a case that holds up under scrutiny. And here is what is coming next. Tomorrow, we are going to break down the Golden State Valkyries versus Atlanta Dream game. We are going to document whether the Dream can stop the bleeding or whether they are going to drop a 5th consecutive loss. We are going to analyze Angel Reese's performance. We are going to track the fan base reaction. And we are going to see whether the front office steps in and reframes this narrative before it destroys the relationship between the team and its supporters. If you are not subscribed, you are going to miss it. Hit the bell, because this story is not over. It is just getting started. This is Hoop Vision Daily. We will see you in the next video.